Hey there guys, welcome to another video. You might be wondering what is playing right now. Well, it's actually a Sega Master game called Alex Kidd in the Miracle World. And that's the system that I recently bought that I've been talking about. And I'm finally gonna unveil it and talk about it a bit. I finally received most of my games for it, so I thought I'd do a video of it. So there it is. You see there's my stack of games right there. The Master System is a system I really never heard much about. At first I actually thought it was the same thing as a Sega Genesis. But it turns out this is actually the precursor to the Genesis. So think of this as the NES, as what the NES was to the Super NES. It actually wasn't very successful here. I think it sold around 2 million units, but it's a different story in Europe. In Europe, this system was actually pretty popular. It sold around 9 million there, and it's a good thing since this system is actually region free. Well, I'm not sure if it plays Japanese games, but it plays anything released in Europe, and that's great because if you go on eBay and hit up Master System, you'll see that the only games available for it are from Europe. So if you want to find some games, you have to buy them there, and since it's region locked, well, it's pretty useful. The system's design itself, it's pretty ugly, as you can see. It's huge in bulk, and I actually had to move. I used to have a PS2 and a Dreamcast in there, and I actually have to move them because this system takes a lot of space. The power button is right here, and here you have the control slots. This is what a Master System controller looks like. Pretty standard. Doesn't have many buttons. Doesn't even have a start or B button. The start button is actually the same as the 1 button. And the control pad is okay, but still prefer the NES one. If you want to actually pause the system, you have to get up from the couch and press this button right here, which is the pause button. And they have a reset button right here. And the Master System can play two styles of games. It can play cartridges games, and it can play disc games, or whatever you want to call these things here that you just insert them there. And the cartridge themselves, they look like this. Pretty ugly, as you can see. And when I was talking to you about, I said that the Master System was known for its infamous box art. Well, let me find an example here. Look. This is not something you'd walk into a store and want to buy, right? So that's pretty much it as far as the overall system. I don't have that much to say because I don't really know that much about the Master System. I just got it about a week ago and I've played a bit of it, but still I don't want to say random facts about it that might not be true. So I'm just gonna show you the games that I bought for it. So alright, let's start here with the Sonic games. I got Sonic 1, which is funny because the Sega Genesis came out in '89, and I think the Sonic game started in '91. And by that time the Master System was dead in the North America for a long time, and Sega managed to pump up some Sonic games for it. Not really know why. That might be a reason why Sega is not pumping up consoles. Their strategies were very weird. At one time, they were making games for 5 different systems. I think they were making games for the Master System, the Genesis, the Sega CD, the 32X, and the Saturn, all at the same time, which is not really a good strategy. Anyway, Sonic 1, I've tried it. It's okay. It's still fun, but it's not really as fast as the Genesis game. So there you go. Sonic 2, however, is a blast. I thought this looked familiar, and the reason is this is the exact same game as Sonic 2 for the Game Gear, the Sega Game Gear, which I already owned and played a lot as a child, so it's the exact same game. So I'm pretty sure that Sonic 1 was also released for the Game Gear, but I might be wrong. And next I have is Sonic Chaos, the third Sega Master System game, which probably saw its way to the Game Gear also. Next up, I bought Phantasy Star. This one was actually pretty expensive. I think I got it for $50 with free shipping. So I'm pretty sure you can find it for a bit cheaper. The reason I didn't mind so much was that 10% of the sale went to a charity. I played a bit. Well, this thing is interesting because it came out 1 full year before Dragon Warrior and 2 years before Final Fantasy in the US. So this is actually could be considered as the first role-playing game ever to be released on a console. It's a first-person RPG, so it's different, but these games are really hard to get into today because of all the games we've played now, and they've grown over the years. So still fun to take a look at if you're a retro. Next up is Alex Kidd Lost Stars, the game you saw in the TV there. It's pretty fun. It's an old school platformer. Really recommended. Next up I have Psycho Fox. This is one of the more expensive Master System games. Could go for around $25 to $50. It's another platformer. It's pretty fun, but then like for today's standards it's a bit hard to get into. Miracle Warriors is another RPG. Really hardcore, old school. Couldn't get into it at all. Afterburner is a shoot 'em up. Really weird controls. I took a chance on this one, and I think it has a fan base, but for me wasn't anything special. Thunderblade, I caught my eye because I was a big fan of Tiger Heli for the original NES, and the first stage of this game looks very similar to Tiger Heli, so I don't know if there's a similarity. Maybe it's from the same devs or something, I'm not too sure, but the first stage looks a lot like Tiger Heli, but the rest of the game doesn't hold up quite as well, I found. Next up I have Transbot, which is another shoot 'em up. I have Shinobi, which is pretty fun. Fantasy Zone is actually a shoot 'em up kind of in a coloring book, if you get what I mean. It's one of the classics for the Master System. Next I have Back to the Future 2. This is really a bad game, honestly. Can't say anything good about it. Alien Syndrome. I got Ghostbusters, which is supposedly the best version of this game, which doesn't say much from what I played. It's nothing special. Next up I have the Wonder Boy series. This game you might know under a different name for the NES. This is actually almost the exact same game as Adventure Island. I think the reason is Sega has the rights to the Wonder Boy characters, but the developers has the right to the game, so they released it for the NES. I think it was Hudson who published it as under the name Adventure Island, and there's actually a pretty good video online that I'll put a link up to in my description so you guys can see. It goes up into more details about the difference between Wonder Boy and Adventure Island. Should really go check it out. Basically, after this game, Wonder Boy and Adventure Island both continue their separate ways and span off a lot of other games in the series. The next game was Wonder Boy in Monster Island, which is a complete different genre from the original Wonder Boy. It's now an action RPG. Kind of reminds me of Zelda 2. It's pretty good actually. This is one of the games that when I tried out, I couldn't stop playing until I die. It's really fun, really well done. And the same thing can be said about Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap. Now I think there are 2 more Sega Master System games in the Wonder Boy series, but I have not picked them up yet. So that's it. This is my Master System video. I hope you enjoyed and look forward to more pickup videos. See you.